Xbox Ones and Switches, and you go to my Target, you'll probably see no Switches and a few Xbox Ones and some PS4s. You know, I mean, according to Adobe, the Nintendo Switch won Black Friday. That doesn't mean a whole lot because it's just, you know, they don't have all the data. But
all right, stop talking. It's live.
Now we go smooth on it, baby. Keep going.
No, stop talking right now. Trust me, this is part of a topic. Let it go. Let it go.
No, the reason why I want it smooth.
The
reason why I want it smooth because I want Lord Megative's his prediction, what he thinks.
We're gonna get that later, but hi guys, we're live. And he tried to slide it in on the new Ryan Reynolds, because when I looked down at the picture, I was like, oh sweat, I said Ryan Reynolds was in a party? What the hell is going on here?
You're out of control. We're gonna start this day. We're gonna start this.
We got Deadpool up in here.
Welcome to the Iron Lords podcast, episode number 41. And it's another glorious Sunday, and we are back at the round table on the Lord's Day. We've got two very special guests, Net Neutrality, Bungie rigging the XP system, Black Friday, and Switch third party to discuss. So we're going to get right into it. I want to introduce a Lord whose content I first came across through my good friends over at BRAP Podcast. This Lord is one of the most thought-provoking and passionate members of our gaming community, yet at the same time respected by those who actually matter in the industry. While some may be intimidated with the intensity of his opinions, this Lord is always willing to engage in a civil debate and low-key has some of the most hilarious voice impersonations in the game. Introducing the host of the Super Deformed Games cast, the former Marine and protector of the Filthy Neutrals, aka the Normal Gamers. Welcoming into the realm of the Lords, my man, Lord John Megative. How are you doing, sir?
You know, up until Neutrals, I was like, he's not talking about me. He's talking about me. Holy shit.
You're the protector of the Neutrals.
You know what's funny about that is that term, Sam will tell you, that term was actually started by a bunch of fanboys, directed at me.
Yep.
So whenever you see the term neutral on Twitter, and it's everywhere now, and I prefer the word normal.
Yes. AKA the normal game.
The normal people who don't give a shit about any of that. Dude, that was a hell of an introduction. That was incredible. Thank you.
You're welcome. Absolute pleasure to have you.
No, dude, I love his amiibos. Yes.
Oh no, yeah, I got a collection back there, man. I've got other shelves in here that are full that you can't see. Also,
I love that.
But no, dude, it's great to be here, man. I'm a big fan of what you guys do, and I'm ready to get into it, man.
Much appreciated, man. Long overdue. Glad to have you. And of course, we have a Lord who's always been a friend to the round table. This Lord is one of the best young writers in the game, fellow tech geek, and was an absolute pleasure to finally meet in the flesh at E3 2017. Introducing the assistant editor-in-chief and co-host of the Real Games Media podcast, the direwolf and original Geralt of Rivia, finally making his long-awaited ILP debut. My man, Lord Samuel Tolbert. How you doing, sir?
I am doing very well. That was a great introduction. Well done. Again, you always nail the intros, man. It's good to be here. I love what you guys do. You're real. You keep it real. Let's just dive in. Start chewing on these topics, yeah?
Absolutely, man. Absolute pleasure, man. We got to kick it by what was it? By the Xbox move. I think he was over at Super Lucky's Tale. I remember that time.
Yes, yeah. Well, because we tried to meet, if I remember correctly, by the Sea of Thieves booth.
Yes.
And then that one didn't work out. So yeah, interesting story there. It took a little while. We were running around each other like chickens with our heads cut off, but we finally found each other.
Finally made it. Shout out to the team and your people. We love RGM. Good fans of them. So we're going to, of course, we have the usual suspects at the round table. Actually, two Lords down today.
They knew I was going to be here, and they were like, no.
They were like, I can't deal with this guy, man. No, just joking. But Lord Addict, he may or may not make it. He's not doing too well. Stop it. Let the Lord sleep.
The Lord of excuses.
You're terrible. But Lord Addict is definitely suffering from a big time allergy. I had to educate that man on Benadryl to shut these allergies down. So I don't know. He might be out of commission. And Lord Soft, he is actually vacationing. That man is in Dorne somewhere with Lady Soft. Vacationing on the islands, palm trees and drinks in hand.
Take an hour out, put your headphones in your phone, and let's go. No excuses, baby. No excuses.
So we missing my brother from another mother in the technical gaming lord, but of course we have the excess gamer.
Ooh.
The Lord of Combat Sports, who is a man of his convictions and demands nothing less than the premium experience.
Ooh.
Beloved. Lord King, how you doing, sir?
What's going on? We have a great show for you today. Let me give you a little bit of combat sports this weekend. Let me tell you something. There's certain things that I'm not feeling, and I'm never feeling a coward. All right, we had Sergey Kovalov, which fought for Andre Ward's belts that he ripped off his behind twice. Twice, I might add you. And listen, Kovalov fought a cheeseburger last night. Trust me, it had ham, it had all the trimmings on it. He was tearing it up. He had a turkey yesterday inside the ring with him. And he chewed him up.
Showtime boxing, sir? Not to cut you.
It was HBO crap. You know how it goes. HBO serves you up the finest crap. It was so hamburgery that I was like, I can't believe they're trying to pass this off as a fight. Anyway, not to bore you enough because I was bored enough for you guys yesterday. Sergey Kovalov ate that hamburger in 2 rounds, and he thinks he's back. He thinks he's how can I say it? On top of the world. Shout out to Andre Ward for trolling the guy by showing training videos of him back in the ring. And there's whispers in the world saying that he's back and he wants to fight Kovalov again, just to troll him.
Wow. Now, just real quick, what division do these do? So I know, like, what's is it heavyweights or something?
Light heavyweights. They're, light heavyweights. These, Andre Ward has went all the way up. He's probably after Floyd, Money Mayweather, and Rigondeaux, pound for pound, the best fighter in the world. Yeah, so I love your boy Conor McGregor right now. He has the world calling him out. Conor right now is a cash cow, and he is the best that the UFC has to offer. I love that guy.
Yeah, he's breaking the system. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. I mean, shout out to Conor. I caught a little bit of UFC last night. I think all I cared about was Michael Bisping going to sleep, which he got knocked out again.
Wait a second. He just fought 2 weeks ago. What the hell is going on?
2 weeks ago, he came in as a replacement. Dana put him as the head of a card. I think it was a UFC fight night last night.
What?
And he got viciously put to sleep. So not only did he get choked out 2-3 weeks before, he's gotten put to sleep again. And yeah, his career might be over. So shout out to Bisping, good warrior, but not a steroid era guy. So we got to respect it. But yeah, that bell might have called. Old age waits for no one.
Oh no, I would have had to take steroids to avoid that knock out there.
Moving along.
Inject me, sir. Inject me, kind sir.
And of course, it is Lord Cognito here spreading that gaming realness.
Yes, my boy, the Lord of, come on, give the Lord of Sleep his intro, please. Give him in here.
He's here?
That's right, my boy is here. Let's go. Give him his intro.
Is that the young wolf?
Yes, give him his intro.
So I feel like I was being talked about.
That's right. That's right, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Peer pressure. Peer pressure gets the stick off you. Let's go.
I can't with you. My co-host with the co-most, my brother from another mother, and the howl of the young wolf. Benadryl in the system.
I haven't had no Benadryl yet.
You get the Benadryl?
Oh,
no, I have it, but I don't want to take it till after the podcast.
I feel you.
He's a superhero today.
You know what? You will officially be Lord Sleep if you do that.
I'm gonna take like 3 and just sleep the rest of the year.
Oh my God! No, I'm glad that you made it, bro. I know it wasn't looking too good. It wasn't looking too good, but we're glad to have the Lord here. So, of course, again, Lord Cognito here, spreading that gaming with us on the ILP. Not telling you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. So before we get into what the Lords are playing, I want to start off with Lord Megative, his video game system history, and, of course, what led him to the creation of the amazing SDGC podcast. Lord Megative, the floor is yours. Tell us about your history, man.
Okay, I'll just I'll do it real quick. I started gaming with the the NES, and then nice. I was actually no, that's incorrect. In television, I stand corrected.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was like fucking 4 years old in 1984 when my dad got me into television, so I don't have many memories of it. But I do remember Utopia. And then of course, I got the NES, and that kind of changed everything. And I went on to the Master System, and then Genesis, Super Nintendo. I mean, I've literally owned almost every system, almost every single one. I even had a Virtual Boy.
Wow, impressive.
Yeah,
impressive.
The only Virtual Boy I had was on a PC.
Jesus. So, that was woo. So now I don't own an Xbox One. I have everything right now except an Xbox One, simply because I already play games every day, and there's a ton of games to play, and I just don't have the time for a PS4 and a Switch and a PC and a 3DS and an Xbox One. So I mistakenly get labeled as a PlayStation fanboy, which, as Sam will tell you, is hilarious, because I like the Switch a lot better than the PS4.
I can tell.
Yeah, that to me is kind of the defining characteristic of a fanboy. It's like you are unable to. There's a difference between preference and bias, right? Like, preferences can change. And right now I prefer the Switch. Earlier this gen I prefer the PS4. I started the Super Deformed Gamescast because, and of course, Super Deformed is a reference to the Super Deformed characters of Super Nintendo RPGs like Final Fantasy.
I was just about to ask you that. I'm glad you broke that down, because I wanted to get the whole science behind the name. Cool.
Yeah. Yes. I've had a few people ask me, like, what does that mean? And I'm like, okay, well, it means this. So I'm glad that I'm glad that you had caught on to that.
Yes.
But I started that simply because I just wanted a group of people to talk games with. That's it. And now it's come to the point where I was on a panel about hatred in the gaming community at PAX East. We got our media credentials.
Nice.
And it led to a lot of friendships with people that I had followed for a long time in the gaming industry, it's kind of amazing to see. It literally just started in my basement here, and it's kind of amazing to see what's happened with it and how it's grown.
Yeah, man.
It's awesome. I mean, we're still small, but then again, I don't want to be like, PewDiePie levels of popular, because we've got a very, very passionate, localized audience who comes into our chat every week, and there's no bullshit, there's no toxicity. People just come in there and they know that they will, one, get the truth, and two, they won't get any fanboy bullshit.
Listen, we appreciate you, man. And at the end of the day, like I said, it doesn't matter about the size, about what you're talking about, and definitely respect that. I was seeing a lot of your interviews. I also wanted to shout out you were at, I think, call me if it was PAX or some gaming show, and PAX, you had. Yes, and you had one of the devs from Blaster Master Zero, which is one of my favorite Switch games. I was really impressed. I was like, I like this.
Blaster Master was awesome. We got to interview him, and we got to interview the lead dev for Shovel Knight, and a bunch of other really cool titles. We got to talk to some people from Devolver, which was really cool. And if you tune into our show, which I'll give a shameless plug here, which
please plug, sir.
SDGC goes live every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. We've had people, just a few of the guests we've had on. We've had on people from Naughty Dog, people from Housemarque. We've had on, if you guys watch Easy Allies, we've had Kyle Bossman and Mike Huber on.
Yes.
Jason Schreier. Susan Arndt, Mike Laidlaw.
Poke your chest out, Lord Megative. Talk that
talk. We've had Mike Laidlaw, who was the creative director of Dragon Age. We've had Mike Huber's going to be on here again in a few weeks. Nice. That'll be his 5th time on the podcast.
Nice.
If you guys want some good gaming talk and no bullshit, just go subscribe to our channel. We'd appreciate that.
Much appreciated. And I want to shout out to you guys. Matt Piscatella is on your show a lot, and I like to tune in for that when you guys do the MPD. Also, great stuff, education. You get to learn a lot, especially trends in the industry, and it's as far as how things are selling and digital and stuff. So it's really cool. Really appreciate what you're doing out there.
I appreciate that, man.
No doubt. And of course, Lord Tolbert's in the building, his first time on the show. So we're gonna get a little recap of him, a little where he started, with his video game history, young buck, and what led him over to Real Games Media.
Okay, well, let's see if I can give a really, really condensed version really quick then. I started gaming pretty much as soon as, or maybe even before I could walk and talk. I was playing Age of Empires, I think, at my 5th birthday on my computer.
Salute to Lord Talbert's parents. Salute to those parents.
Right.
Okay, that was my history. That was my history class for my first few years, right? Very formulative. That's probably where I get my love of RTS games from.
Nice.
And I fell in love with Age of Empires. Then it was Civilization. Then it was whatever free stuff I could run on the computer.
Civilization's my shit.
Right, and then Civilization 2 was brutal. That was no joke, even on the easier difficulties. And then my first console was an original Xbox. First game I ever played on it was Battlefront 2, the original, not the EA money hogging version. the legit,
not
real
the loot box special
with actual space battles and actual landing inside of enemy ships and Galactic Conquest. It was great stuff. Played that with my brothers. Then from there, of course, because it was an Xbox, that led to Halo, Republic Commando, and the rest is history.
Playing Battlefront these days is pretty much playing the cliff notes of the old ones.
very shiny, polished cliff notes, right?
Looks delicious to me. Looks delicious.
Yes, because you like flashy things.
Yeah, I do. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You like dull things. Hey, hello.
Continue, Lord Sam.
No problem. And so RGM, let's see, it was about, wait a minute, it was actually a year ago, almost to this day, maybe a little bit more, trying to remember, that I was in a party talking with Bella, who's one of my really, really, really good friends. We've known each other for a while now. And I was talking about being out of a job recently and that I was looking to do something with writing because I got beyond top marks in all my English classes. And she was like, well, have you considered any sort of games industry writing? I was like, yeah, but have you tried getting an internship at some of these places? You're lucky if they even throw a glance your way. And she's like, hold that thought. Give me a moment and I'll get back to you on that. Day later, I'm talking to Julius as well, who's another of the co-founders at RGM.
So Julius.
They start me off, I think, writing 1 or 2 articles every week, just some very low-level indie game reviews. And before I know it, I'm at E3 jumping around talking to developers like Don't Nod Entertainment, who are working on Vampire, Cyanide, who a long way in just a few months. It was crazy. It was a little surreal. I'm still suffering a little whiplash, but it's awesome. Actually met, of course, Lord Cognito there, dancing around trying to find each other. That was great. You know, seeing all these incredible developers and publishers and everything they're working on. I got to see a private showing of Days Gone and some of the stuff going on there. It was interesting, you know, and just I could talk about all that all day, but I've gone a long way, and I'm sure I've got a long way to go, but I'm loving it. I enjoy. I have a passion for the industry.
There is a lesson. There is a lesson here. There's a lesson here, and this is the lesson. Both Sam and myself, the reality is we are reasoned, mature individuals who just want to talk games. I am harsh with my opinions, but I am not cruel with my opinions. Sam is a very mature, reasonable individual who is level-headed and speaks intelligently and plainly. And this is the reason that developers and journalists engage with us and not with other sections of the fan base.
So pretty much, let me state. So
please,
I'm the equivalent of you to this podcast, and Sam's the equivalent to Cognito of that podcast.
You are not level-headed. You're not equivalent.
Oh my God!
Stop equalizing yourself to other people. You're you.
David's just the mascot.
I'm done.
Continue, Lord.
Notice the show was going on without you, right?
It's just, you know, fanboys from every side of from every walk of life, you know, from whatever, no matter what console they are. Why doesn't so and so engage with me, and why does so and so get? This is why.
Yeah,
this is why people want to have, especially people in the industry, want to have intelligent conversations. They don't want to shout at each other.
Absolutely.
So if you want to get recognized by people that you are fans of in the industry, just be kind.
Be kind. I mean, I think that's valid points, and I think you just nailed it, Lord Megative. I mean, that's why, like I said, here at the Iron Lord Podcast, we definitely try to promote that atmosphere. You know, we want to be kind to each other. We want to respect each other. You know, we keep the language to a minimum. You know, we don't want to offend too many people, but we're going to have fun. We're going to have a good time. And
yeah, I want to point that out. So, hey, if I'm going to do my best to tuck it back, but I was also a Marine,
I know.
So, and I every fifth word that comes out of my mouth is a swear word. So I'm gonna do my best, man. I'm gonna do my best.
Negative. I respect you, and I know the effort is there. That's all I can. My man.
Gosh darn effort.
No doubt, no doubt. And we had some former Marines that get busy, so we know. Shout out to Lord Bill Stillwell.
There's a reason that SDGC goes live at 9 instead of
SDGC after dark. And of course, we also got. Looks like we got a man in the building, snuck in the back door. Lord BRAP, what's going on, sir?
Gentlemen, what is going on?
Oh shit, it's Enrique.
Yes, it's Enrique. I just want to say it is a pleasure. And Lord King, I have upgraded, my friend.
I know. I bet you have.
What you upgraded?
What you did?
Went out and got a 4K TV yesterday.
Thank you.
Boy, Enrique, I tell you what, man.
Don't be stroking this man's ego. Okay, you bought that because you wanted it, not because he suggested it.
Whoa, time out. I don't care why he brought it. See, there you go. That's my man right there. He went out and he upgraded.
Wait, is that Addict? He's up? He's right?
Thank you. This is what I'm talking about. Wow. Thank you. See, Addict, I'm gonna tell you, man, you have a reputation.
You guys are like that person that like just keeps like hitting the person that's knocked out. Like the joke is old, but you guys keep doing it.
I got your back, Lord. I'm happy you're here.
John, all joking aside, I drove by Walmart and I immediately thought of your impersonation yesterday.
Yes, you guys make me just want to get this Benadryl right now.
I just have to give a shout out at this moment. I know Hot Monkeys Lovin' is in church. I know you was gonna listen right now. Shout out to Hot Monkeys Lovin' and my boy David Rodriguez for picking up this the Samsung Q9s. I went with David actually to the store to pick up his, and Monkey was recommended the television. Shout out to you guys for going out to get it, and also shout out to oh man, I'm gonna get his name again because I know he picked up his television. Shout out to everybody out here that's doing their thing. I really appreciate you guys.
Lord King on the 4K TV movement. Lord BRAP, what did you pick up on the 4K front? Just so we know.
So I went budget this time.
Okay.
I went with the TCL.
Smart, man. Smart.
Yeah, the 55-inch. Got a lot of recommendations from people who've picked it up or read about it. And I did my homework on it. I mean, it's got some good reviews. It's
is it all set up, or is the HDR gloriousness, the low input lag, that 4K resolution, is it all set up for all its glory?
It is, and I can't stop playing Assassin's Creed now.
Nice.
Came about that combat though.
Yeah, the combat. John, I agree with you 100%. The combat's not the greatest, but yeah, I'm actually in agreement with that. So that's cool. So we got the Lords in the field. We got a full house now, and want to get into really quickly, just brief. I know it's been Black Friday and everything, and a lot of holiday eating and good times. But did any of the Lords get a chance to play anything? So let's start with Lord Megative. What have you been playing this week?
Oh, okay. So I played about 10 hours of Assassin's Creed, but that combat is just crap, so I stopped doing it.
It's just clunky, doesn't it? Like
it does. It does. But then again, like Sam and Enrique will tell you, I'm a Dark Souls purist. So and Blood. So I'm a Souls guy. So if there is Souls similar combat in a game, I'm going to hold it up to Dark Souls or Bloodborne. And most games just can't hold the candle to that. Yeah. So I have been playing Fire Emblem Warriors. I'm about 20 hours into that. I'm really enjoying it. Nice. What else am I playing? I have finished so many games this year. It's unbelievable. I'm actually playing. Right now. I'm not playing anything that I bought on Black Friday. I'm replaying Valkyria Chronicles on PS4.
Nice.
And I love Valkyria. If you've never played Valkyria Chronicles and you're a fan of real-time strategy or SRPGs, Valkyria Chronicles is a fantastic game. And then. I'm juggling. I've picked up Axiom Verge Multiverse Edition on Switch. I played through Axiom Verge like 15 billion times. I'm trying so hard not to swear right now. Literally,
we love you, Lord Megative. We love you.
On my face, trying not to swear. I am juggling, and that is what the beauty and the curse of 2017 is, that there are so many great games that have come out this year. It is almost impossible. I just in October I finished The Evil Within 2, Wolfenstein 2, Destiny 2, I mean, it's unbelievable how many good games there are. And then, of course, in a week we have Xenoblade Chronicles 2 comes out, and that will be the entirety of my December probably.
Yeah,
nice, good lineup, man. I like what you're doing out there, Lord Sam. What have you been playing this week?
Oh, good Lord. Okay, so I haven't been playing quite as much as I would have liked to, simply because I'm in finals prep right now. So crunch time is limited. But I did make a little raid on the Xbox Black Friday sales. I got both the Evil Within games, and then I got Dishonored 2 and Dishonored Death of the Outsider. So I've been chewing into those right now.
I still need to play Death of the Outsider, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm going to try and get a review of the Evil Within 2 up. No promises. Sometime maybe next week when I finish that one. I'm loving the first one right now, though. I just made it to chapter 7. It's absolutely fantastic. Good combat, very excellent enemy design. Sebastian may be the dullest survival horror protagonist I've ever experienced.
Wait, hold on. I missed that. Who is the dullest survival horror protagonist?
Sebastian may be.
Oh, no, yeah, like, I love Sebastian's reactions, like, in the first Evil Within, like, something horrific will happen, and he'll say, like,
right.
We must be losing our minds. And I'm like...
or you've got this 6-armed, stringy-haired ghost girl chasing after you, he's like, something's wrong with this place. Yeah, no kidding, Sherlock. Get the violin for the next brilliant deduction. I mean, come on.
Something's really like there could be like a corpse growing out of another corpse chasing him down a hallway, and he's like, "There's something seriously wrong with this place."
Yeah,
Lord.
I say that, but like I just want to. This is a scene that almost nobody will see in the Evil Within 2. It's incredibly well hidden, but there's one scene you've got to go there's like 30 minutes of backtracking to get to it. This is just to get to Sam's point. But these guys know how to put humor in their games too. There's a scene like you go back to O'Neill and he says, "I'm not going out there. It's evil out there." And then Sebastian says, "Yeah, but there's evil within too." And then and then they break the fourth wall and they both look at the player like this.
No.
And then the game
had a bunch of fun with that.
That's hilarious.
That's good.
Hilarious.
But yeah, so I've been digging my teeth into those. I'm really looking forward to getting to the second one because I'm a huge fan of survival horror. I'm also loving Dishonored 2. It's everything I loved about the first one, and then it's perfected. Arcane are some of the best level designers I'm aware of. They know how to make players want to use their powers, want to explore. They know how to make a good movement system. So yeah, I could sing the praises of that game all day.
Nice.
I've also been playing quite a bit of Total War Warhammer 2 because the Mortal Empires update just came out, so that's been a lot of fun, just seeing thousands upon thousands of mythical soldiers blasting each other to pieces. It's good for stress relief,
Yeah. Real quick, Lord Anchorman in the chat asked, how old is this Lord Sam guy? He said, is he a young buck of the Lords? Lord Anchorman's in chat.
I'm 21.
I mean, technically, if anybody's the young wolf, it's Sam.
Yeah, he's got you beat, Lord Addict. He's the younger wolf, the youngest wolf.
He's a
new pup on the block.
The young
new pup on the block.
It's whatever. You can have that. I mean, do I need to sign anything? Where do I need to sign?
I'll get the statement from the court later on. No. But yeah, those are the major games I've been playing right now. I also have been. I recently got 1,000 out of 1,000 in Shadow of War. Really enjoyed that. Wow. That is a premium game on the X. Like you can play it on any other console, on even the PS4 Pro, and then play it on the X, and you can tell where the work was really put in.
And the best thing about it is it's a good game.
Yeah, it's good. The combat is great. I love it. There's some interesting story twist in the third act. Had a lot of fun with that. I've also been suffering through Cuphead. I'm almost done with suffering. No, I'm having a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. It's a blast. It's just, if you don't get the patterns down, these bosses are brutal. They will chew you up and they'll spit you out. But I only have a few left. I've only got a couple left, I think, based off of where I am so far. So, and that's pretty much it.
Cool, man. Cool. Lord Solve is that?
Yeah, you see, this is what I'm talking about. You understand when the call goes out,
vacationing from Aruba.
When the call goes out, the Lords show up.
Lord
Thank you.
My ears started ringing.
Is that a shot towards me?
Robotic. Am I coming in robotic?
No, you sound fine.
Good.
Is he at the Macy's Day Parade? What's going on?
I'm in a mall in Ponce, Puerto Rico, and it's Christmas time, so you know it's always a party. It's always a party going on.
Are they handing out cookies? Are they handing that out?
Not quite yet. Give it another hour or so. Yeah, it'll be going down.
Lord Saab, your neck is very sparkling right now. You're giving us a great view.
Oh, hold on.
There you go.
Hold on.
There you go.
Yeah. See that face.
There we go. Well, man, appreciate you, bro. I didn't think we'd hear from you, but it's always good to have Saab, the most technical gaming lord in the building.
I heard my ears ringing. And I had
he heard me shout him out. Here we go, baby.
You got the Koki in hand? What's going on? What we got?
Nah, it's too early for that, man. But in a little while, don't worry about that.
Okay. We're glad to have you for as much as we can have you.
A few minutes, yeah, because it's a little crazy over here. So I just want to jump in and say what's up to the guys.
No doubt.
Yeah. So what are we talking about right now? What's the topic?
We're just doing intros, man. We got BRAP in the building. We finished up what the Lords are playing, and we're gonna touch that net neutrality. We're gonna touch that.
Man. So first of all, a lot of love to Mr. Megative, BRAP. Who else is on today?
We got Samuel Taylor from RGM.
Tolbert. Yeah. What's up, guys? What's going on?
What's up, man?
I'll put my 2 cents in real quick on net neutrality. GameStop is probably really happy. I think all of those physical sales are gonna start skyrocketing when people can't pay for internet. So it's gonna be something.
It's gonna be
for all of us who jumped in on the digital end. I mean, it's gonna cost. If that happens to be the case, it's gonna cost us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very, very scary times. As much as a lot of us fight for loot boxes and microtransactions. This is probably one of the most scary things that could potentially affect gamers. So it's just something that we definitely want to bring to the light. And speaking of which, Lord Saab, we had last week's poll that was up, and the question was, with the removal of microtransactions from Star Wars Battlefront 2, EA has stated that they will return in the future and changes are made to the game. Is this acceptable? So the winner at 58% in a very emotional poll was the no. Keep those damn microtransactions out of the game.
I think I agree. Like, if you removed them already, you have to figure it out without it. I think, EA, I'm gonna use my favorite word, egregious. They've been the ones that have been most egregious about how they implement them. I think Activision, if you look at Call of Duty, and even if you look at the sneaky stuff they did with Destiny, like in terms of like progression and stuff like that in XP, they're trying to figure out sneaky ways of getting it around the gamer. It's just the truth about it. Like, it's not something, it's something you got to try to hide as best you can. And EA has not been good about that. They've been like, you know what, this is what it is, and you got to hold that. And people spoke with their wallets, and it's not going down. So I don't think for that game in particular, you don't bring that back.
Yeah. So coming in at second place at 32% was the yes group. It's the microtransactions was way overblown, and at third place in shallow 10%, those shallow 10% guys. They said, when can they get their premium Darth Vader, though?
That was me.
That was Lord King of the Shallow group.
The Lord of the Shallow, yes.
That was me.
Well, we're going to get into the heart of it. We're going to get the heart of these topics, and I get soft. I don't know how long we got you, but we're going to really dive
I'm going to bounce out now.
Yeah, I think we're going to bounce out, but I'm glad you was able to make that cameo.
Enjoy, stay safe, and love you, brother.
Love you, bro.
You too, man. You guys enjoy. I'll see you guys next week.
Absolutely. Shout out to Lady Soft, too.
No doubt.
All right, good.
Later, guys.
So so pretty much we're gonna dive into the meat of it. We're gonna really hit net neutrality hard. So obviously this is a hot topic right now, and something I wanted to bring to the round table because I don't really feel it's getting enough light. And shout out to BRAP for coming through, because let me tell you, man, BRAP killed it. One of his latest rants, y'all. If y'all haven't been paying attention, check out BRAP's latest rant regarding net neutrality. And for those living under a rock, net neutrality is basically the principle that all internet ISPs, they must treat their data and not discriminate as far as the internet content, website, and stuff, so that everything kind of gets addressed freely. So under those principles, no one would be able to throttle, block, or slow down specific websites or online content. So as we know, this coming in December is it's pretty much is in jeopardy of being threatened. And I know here we at the ILP, we try not to get too political. You know, we respect everyone. Everyone's got their different views. But as far as gaming, I felt this was something that we should talk about. And at the end of the day, it's something that does affect gamers. So I'm going to actually start off with Lord Megative first, because I got BRAP. We're going to get BRAP in because he's the expert. He's one of the leaders of the movement. But I want to start with Lord Megative first. And what do you feel about what's going on, you know, and your input on this whole net neutrality thing?
Well, first of all, I just want to say there's 31 people watching us right now and only 20 likes. So come on, guys.
Yes, please.
Let's up it up a bit.
Let's do that.
I am not convinced that this repeal of net neutrality is actually going to happen. It has been, let's just say, a long time since I have seen anything so roundly condemned by everybody. I almost said the F word there. I had to stop myself. It has been years since I've seen something so roundly condemned by everybody. And interestingly enough, in a year in 2017 where people are so divided in this country, between the right and the left, like, this is the one thing that seems to be bringing everybody together is their mutual disdain and unhappiness about the repeal of net neutrality. And let's face it, if net neutrality goes away, I mean, that's bad for everybody. I mean, and people don't really understand what that means, you know. So if you don't know what net neutrality is, basically, you know, this is the First Amendment of the internet, basically. It protects our rights. But it keeps companies, conglomerates like Comcast, for example. We all know how bad Comcast is.
Yes, sir.
We started on them.
It keeps Comcast, for example, from reducing the bandwidth for your Netflix in order to promote their own streaming service. With net neutrality gone, Comcast, for example, can charge you your ISP more to access one website as opposed to another. They can block websites completely on a whim if they want to, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about any of this. And Comcast, companies like Comcast are already bad enough. They've already got more than enough power because in many swaths of the country like mine, they are the sole option you have for internet and cable services. So dealing with these people it's already bad enough. But if net neutrality goes away, I mean, honestly, these companies, not just these companies, but like companies like Verizon and cell phone companies, they can charge whatever they want for internet access. There is no flat rate anymore. That's gone. And I am not convinced that it's actually going to happen because it is so roundly unpopular. And if it does happen, there will be a blowback like you have never seen. Exactly.
I mean, I hope you're right, man, because
I hope I am too. I mean, that might just be what little hope I have left after 2017. Please, you've taken 2017. You've taken please don't take this. Come on.
I feel you.
Bad enough we got Trump in the White House. Please don't let it end like this. Go ahead.
The part that kills me about this whole net neutrality thing is, like, I don't understand how a situation is being brought back up that you have these ISPs like saying they, like the only definition to not do it is, oh, we won't do it, we promise. Like, I don't even understand why this is being brought up.
It means nothing.
I don't even understand why this is being brought up. Like, why is this even an issue? like money. People. That's what I'm saying. People are putting some serious money behind this to get this. If people are putting up this kind of money to even have this brought up, it's with bad intentions.
I hate to interject. Lord Ekman has a question for Lord King. He said that this shouldn't be an issue with you, Lord King, for paying more for premium internet.
It wouldn't be an issue for the 1%, but let me explain how it is an issue for all. When net neutrality was first imposed and Obama, I don't want to get into the whole political stuff.
We'll keep the politics out of it.
Do it. But when he championed that and that was signed and that was put in, that was a safeguard against what was going to happen and what was happening, the practices that was happening. If you notice that you started getting lower cell phone bills. They had to like do this whole unlimited thing, and it got a little bit better as far as your wallet went. And yeah, go ahead.
It pretty much like made like all the other, your power bill, all these people have to follow a guideline, and all that.
Right.
All net neutrality did is it made them follow internet as the same guideline.
Right. It made everybody play nice. Now, when it comes to your wallet, and this is what my fear is. Okay, and we should be afraid for the video games, right? But I buy physical as well as digital. All right. So the fear is in the digital realm, but my fear is back to the cell phones. Once it gets to the point where they say, okay, well, the restraints is off of us, then we can go back to these crazy prices when you were paying, $400 for 2 cell phones before. Remember, that was a reality before. Now your bills have lowered. They will skyrocket right back up because they will be able to enforce a certain bandwidth on you. And when
and those scary tiers. Tier this.
Right.
Shout out to Lord Brat with the dude bro tier might show up possibly.
Yeah.
for your 4K speeds.
And you know what's funny is people that have contracts, like those contracts will expire eventually. You're like, just because you sign into a fixed price don't mean that contract will last the rest of your life.
So I don't want to understate the danger of taking net neutrality away, but at the same time, I also think there's a danger in overstating what will happen. Do I think it's the end of the internet as we know it? Do I think it's the internet apocalypse? No, probably not. My concern is just one, giving these 1 or 2 entities even more power than they already have over years. And 2, I mean, look, for the middle class, it's probably going to be fine. For the people who don't make as much money some other people do, it's going to be a problem. And so that is my concern. I am more concerned about people who are not as fortunate.
When it comes down to it, there's a lot of these people that, they still have, when it comes to consumer friendly, they still like to be consumer friendly, but a lot of these companies, they're not the majority. They're not the Comcast. They're not the Verizons. These companies are going to find any way, and we can't say for 100% that these companies are going to do us dirty, but it's like these companies haven't done anything in the past 10 years to show us that they wouldn't.
I'll tell you what though,
do us dirty.
I'll tell you what though, if net neutrality goes away, this is a golden opportunity for some small service provider to be like, hey, we're not going to do any of this junk.
Right. Be the people's champions.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, there's a sunny spot to every, at every storm cloud, but I don't know, maybe that's just the hopeful part of me coming out again.
No, where you coming from? I want to get Lord Sam on this. I want to get his viewpoint before I pass it over to Lord Brat.
Everything that has been said here, it's been said, and it's been said more eloquently than I can put it on a dime's notice. But I will say this: the fact is, it's easy to see the intent of many of these major conglomerates and companies when they're saying, we're not going to change anything. We're still committed to providing internet the exact same way. It's like saying, okay, we don't intend to murder anybody. Right. Okay, so we can keep murder illegal, right? That's still assault charges. That's all good. Oh, no, that law needs to go away. But we still don't intend to murder anybody. It doesn't make any sense. The very fact that you want it to go away at all shows what intent you have.
Yes.
No, absolutely.
The moment a law is being looked at to be overturned that is anti-consumer, it's not a good thing. It's like I said earlier, it's got clear bad intentions. There's no way around it. It's got clear bad intentions. Regardless, it's like the gaming industry. You let them get away with a little bit, they keep inching their way back up the
habitual line stepping.
Yeah, and it's not just that. The biggest issue for me, at least, is the fact that I think John pointed this out as well. These companies are so close to monopolies or duopolies.
Yes. They have monopolies. Yes. It's legal. They've made arrangements with the United States government over here. I don't know how it is in other countries. Like they have legit monopolies, but they are completely legal because they have completely separated the entire country in districts.
I mean, anytime the FCC comes out and says, "Well, here's the reason we're doing this," but the only response you need, and the reason that you know this is insidious, is just ask the question, why? Exactly. Why get rid of it?
Exactly. Why not leave it as is? Yeah.
If it's not harming anything and you don't intend to change it, why does it need to go?
Exactly. And the other thing that I don't think is also getting pointed out is that, if you want to play devil's advocate and you say, okay, well, if it goes through, what's the big deal? Open market, that kind of bit. There's a lot of areas where people don't necessarily have another good competition as far from an ISP perspective to switch to.
That's half the nation. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Wait, so I'm just going to speak for myself. When I first moved from, New York to Jersey City, and when I was stuck with Comcast, like I was trying to get out of that, there was no other competitive ISP that I could switch to. So I was kind of like forced to bend to their will until that kind of came about. And even so, then that was still kind of hard. So there's a lot of people in those situations where they really can't switch. The lines are kind of controlled by a bigger entity, kind of thing. So
you got my area. Comcast is going to be the only provider for any time soon. Yeah. Google, they're not coming around here. For the most part, they've slowed up on their production. They still build, but, they're not coming to a little area like mine. Verizon, they're here, but they don't have their Vios or anything here. So, they're mainly just a cell phone provider here. But, Comcast is it. It's all the all be all. And the funny part about that whole scenario is I'm pretty sure the reason that Comcast is the only person here is because probably Comcast is paid to be the only person here.
Yeah, and it's like one of those things, like you said, Lord Addict. It's just like if you're upset with Comcast, where realistically can you go? Right? Like where's this competitive market?
We're gonna go to Dish.
Exactly. So I want to get Lord BRAP in here because he is the man right now. Like
let me get my popcorn.
Yes, I listened to that rant, so let's go.
It was one of the most beautiful, eloquent rants, and I really don't think you get enough credit for actually spearheading that movement, making gamers aware. Stop fighting over foolishness, fanboy stuff. Whose system is better. Let's talk about what's important. So Lord BRAP, the floor is yours. Talk to us about this net neutrality thing, man.
Yeah, no, I've been very outspoken about this because I've seen people argue over. I'm seeing it with Black Friday sales now. I'm seeing it, with over plastic boxes, over resolution, and I'm like, guys, this is, take all that negative energy and channel it towards something positive like this. Like, pay attention. And I said this on my podcast. I said, there's no coincidence that this vote is taking place December 14th.
Yep. Talk about that.
Because everyone right now is focused on shopping, holidays. We're distracted. We're distracted. So
I think the last one was took around this place too.
Oh, was it? I
think the last time. I think when it was enforced, it was took around this time too.
Okay. But I'm not surprised. I mean, I'm not surprised they're doing this time of year, and that's why we have to pay attention to what's going on. Because, like everyone has said on this podcast, and I agree with you, John. I don't think it's the death of the internet, or this is the internet apocalypse. But I do think this is going to have a negative impact, not just on consumers, but on possible internet startups.
Yeah.
Yes.
Look. Comcast goes out on Twitter and I hammer them because they're like, "Oh, we're not going to throttle anyone." I'm like, "Yes, you guys have.
If you have to come out and say it so strongly, then yeah, you probably will."
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, they already have. They
already have. Yeah.
Yeah, they did it to Netflix in 2014. Netflix had to pay Comcast extra money. The sum of the amount wasn't ever disclosed.
I just feel like that should be illegal. Like that's blackmail, pretty much.
It is illegal.
Blackmail.
It's illegal right now until they change the regulation.
And then when it comes down to it makes blackmail legal.
And the funny thing about it is when you look at it from a perspective, people are just looking at it from the internet provider perspective. It goes bigger than that. Let's say that, Comcast is being hit up by Sony. Is like, we don't like Microsoft. Put them in the slow lane. And Microsoft got to pay some money to get in that fast lane again. Guess who they're going to put that cost to? They ain't taking it. they're gonna increase the cost of Xbox Live or increase the cost of Game Pass, something to accommodate that money they just dished out to Comcast.
Yeah, and Verizon did the same thing to Netflix. They throttled them, and Netflix had to pay Verizon. So these companies aren't innocent. A lot of money. Yeah, and look, and they tried to do this back in 2005. AT&T, some other telecom and cable companies got together and they tried to create toll lanes, like fast lanes. And 2011, Verizon, T-Mobile, and I think AT&T, they partnered with Discover to create a wallet app for their phones. And at that point, Google had already released Google Wallet. Verizon actually blocked the Google Wallet app.
Yes, because when they were trying to do their own competing thing, correct?
Exactly. So these companies have a history of doing this, which is why it's so important for us to seriously. I mean, I've called my local Congress representative, my congressman, voicing my my displeasure against the possible them possibly overturning net neutrality. I mean, I'm telling everyone, just do it. It just takes a quick phone call. There's a couple websites out there. I don't remember them off the top of my head that you can go to as well. Some petition sites, and then
I'll put the links in the description at the end of the show, because it's one of those things that, again, like we gamers, we tend to galvanize over all these other things. And, we understand the Star Wars loot box thing. We get it. We understand microtransactions. We get it. But the way I look at it, and Lord BRAP, you made some great points. Is just like, especially in this era of 4K gaming and the Xbox One X and huge downloads. Forget about even 4K. Like, if you just think about the size of games right now, think about, having that throttled and data caps and stuff like that, and being forced into a potential tier added to your bill per month if you want to continue doing what you've already been doing. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things that, again, I agree with Lord Megative, though. I don't want to like fear monger, and I don't want to like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. No, you know what I'm saying? Business will go on, things will still continue, but there might be changes that affect you as a gamer. And this is something that we definitely need to bring to light. And I really appreciate what SDGC and BRAP are doing with this, because, this is the things we need to be talking about, right? Like these are the things that need to be put a light on and stop focusing on foolishness.
And the other thing I was going to say is that you got to remember something with these companies like Verizon, Comcast, they're media companies too. Comcast owns NBC.
Yes.
Verizon owns media. Verizon owns Yahoo. They own the Huffington Post.
Yes.
They bought all of AOL's media companies that AOL owned. Verizon bought those. So we have to think about that. To think about these guys are going to obviously push the companies they own because they want to make money at the end of the day.
I mean, when it comes down to it, like, I see people on Twitter saying you can't really say the world's going to end just because, like, you can't. But at the end of the day, it's like, we can't, it's not our job to, enforce anything on these companies. We are consumers, and we can do anything we want when it comes to if anyone's going to screw us when it comes to that.
The problem is that 90% of consumers don't care.
Yeah, facts. No, you're right.
That's why we have loot boxes. That's why we have microtransactions. These things are there because people pay for them. And we can scream and holler on social media all day about vote with your wallet, vote with your wallet. But the simple truth is that 90% of, this is just an example, 90% of the gaming consumers are casual gamers who are not on social media, and don't have time and have money to burn. That's why that's why this stuff is here, and that's why net neutrality is in danger of going away, is because people are either uninformed or they just don't care, and they don't care. They say, okay, well, I'll pay a few extra dollars, whatever, it's not a big deal.
And you can't even really like blame the customers these days, because like when it comes down to it, there's a good amount of casuals that was born into this stuff. Like, they don't know anything different. They've been around with the loot boxes when they started gaming when they were 13, 14. Loot boxes was well in its way already, and that's all they know.
So you're saying before everything was shipped on disk, now you're able to capitalize on the internet as far as microtransactions go. I mean, I'm an egregious habitual line stepper when it comes to it. I was just in Assassin's Creed this week, and trust me, I play to win, I pay to win. And
Lord Shallow, my man.
listen, I'm not gonna lie. If I like the game, I'm gonna be in that store getting that exclusive costume and getting that exclusive horse. And I've done it. I mean, it is a gift and a curse, but I don't want it to be forced upon us at this period of time. You know, I have a choice. I make a choice. I don't want, see, Lord Requendio in Las Vegas, he has a data cap. Right, so he pays a certain amount of money for X amount of data, and for more data you have to pay $10 or $20 more. Now I know for a fact that his will go up as soon as this law is abolished. All right, they're gonna be like, well, remember that $10? It is $25 now. And
Dude, bro, tier. Hi, do the voice, Lord BRAP. Do the voice.
Dude, bro, tier.
It's not fear mongering, it's making people aware. And a lot of people that are active on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, we are the voices for those people who aren't aware. Because I spoke to a couple of people that had no idea that they were doing this.
No idea. People have no idea what's going on. And it's like Lord BRAP said again, it's like the thief in the night. They're catching us when we're fat and happy. You know,
yes. Listen, it's 40 people watching. Please hit those likes.
Hit that like, y'all. Absolutely. Absolutely. We talking truth out here. And
you know what's crazy though? I just want to say one more thing about this.
Go for it.
There's 22 million unique comments to the FCC about this. Majority of those comments are against the FCC overturning net neutrality. The FCC hasn't even read or even brought this up.
Of course not.
There's this much like outcry against them overturning net neutrality, which is really interesting, considering that there is a, I mean, despite like, you know, I've talked to people and
because they don't care.
You know, we talked to people who aren't aware of it, but there is I think a considerable amount of people that are against this. I mean, the media's covering it now. There's been a lot of articles about this. So I see this thing gaining traction.
That's why I'm not convinced it's actually going to happen.
Lord Megative, I really hope so, man.
I hope so.
You're giving me hope, man. I really hope so. I really hope people are paying attention, because this is something that it's important, and especially as gamers, and this is a gaming platform, it affects us. So good stuff, Lords. This is real good. Move on if anyone has anything else left to exhaust on net neutrality.
It's a depressing
and we're gonna move on to our good friends at Bungie.
Oh God, speaking of net neutrality.
I've got some hot takes here.
Let me take a shot.
Get your shots, get your drinks ready, because our good friends over at Bungie, and as you know, Iron Lord Podcast originally started as a Destiny only podcast, and unfortunately our good friends got their hands caught in the cookie jar. Apparently, Reddit user definitely did some algorithm work and found out that they were secretly throttling and reducing XP gains. And for those who don't know, when you play Destiny 2 and you get to level 20, you reach max cap. As you continue to do activities, you continue to level, and that bar then gives you this thing called the bright engram. The bright engram usually consists of a lot of things: mods, cosmetic stuff, emotes. There's so many things that this thing can happen. It can actually consist of, but it also is something that you can easily buy from the Eververse store, which is microtransactions in its finest. You can go over there, you know, for a smooth $5-10 and purchase yourself some silver and get you those things that you desire that haven't been coming in RNG. So as this was brought to the attention of Reddit, it went pretty viral pretty fast, and a lot of the big people in the community who actually support the game. I want to shout out two people that I'm really good friends with. Fran Marabella, he was on it. Duggan, a couple of guys from IGN that I have great relationships with, you know, and they jumped on it immediately, and pretty much, you know, this, I want to say, pay to win, but influencing microtransactions by throttling your ability to grind the game. So as we found out, you know, literally a day later, Bungie released a statement, and it was kind of out of character because there's a big weekly Bungie update that they usually do. They actually created a statement like immediately in response to the backlash that they're receiving, and pretty much said that they are going to outline changes. This is going to be stopped immediately. this algorithm that was in place, and then next week they're going to detail some changes to community feedback and stuff like that. So I want to bring this to the round table. Now that Bungie's been caught, the hand caught in the cookie jar as far as this XP game, so what do we think about it? And since Lord Megative, you sound like you got some hot takes. Let's start off.
So I play a lot of Destiny. I played a lot of the first Destiny, and I play a lot of Destiny 2. While I agree that it's a scummy practice, I don't think this is the big deal that a lot of people think it is for several reasons. One, look, I guarantee you that it's hilarious that they got caught, and their statement was beyond hilarious. Like, oh guys, we're so sorry. We had no idea. Like, we just, come on. We didn't know it was somebody to put a 0 in the algorithm.
These decimal places getting out of control.
The Dewey Decimal System was out of whack, and like at the same time, I guarantee you, like if you think for 1 second that there is not a game out there with microtransactions that does not have a similar system in place that has not been found yet, come on.
You're right. You're right.
So this is not. This is not unique to Bungie. They just got caught. But two, like, I would have a much bigger problem with this if the Eververse had the Eververse trading store had anything other than like meaningless skins and ships that do nothing. Or shaders, so I'm like, okay, like, yeah, it's lame, but whatever. I mean, there are other things I would rather Bungie focus on in Destiny 2 as far as that goes.
Mm-hmm.
So people can scream to the heavens and say, like, I can't believe you were trying to get me to buy shaders, like if there were like amazing exotic weapons in the Eververse that unbalanced. Like, I feel like the Battlefront 2 stuff was a much bigger deal.
Yeah.
And of course, the common thread that binds both of these issues together is gamers raised their voices about it, and both these things were changed. So in a way, I feel this is a positive situation because it proves that gamers have a voice, and people are finally starting to listen to the problems that gamers have with with these practices. And I'm going to reserve judgment on the situation until next Wednesday, and we get some more input as to what they're going to do with to improve the end game, and the loot system and the progression system. That is what I am more concerned about.
Amen on that. I'm with you on that.
In Destiny 2, people. It's lame. It's a lame practice, whatever. I thought Battlefront 2 was much more egregious, and I'm going to use that word too. And they got caught, and it's hilarious. Their statement was hilarious, but at the end of the day, I'm just like, I expect this of big companies, so I'm like, okay, whatever.
No doubt.
Permission to jump on this next and offer a bit of a counterpoint.
Go for it.
Okay. I agree with you, John. It wasn't an issue right now. It's not an issue right now. The loot and the progression is. Destiny 2, as much as I love it, as much as the fun I've had with the endless hours I've poured into it, it has a big endgame content problem right now.
Mm-hmm.
But who says this wouldn't have been an issue one expansion down the line? Or maybe the one after that? Or the one after that? Destiny 2 is explicitly... Hang on. Destiny 2 is explicitly being built, I don't think this is too much of a reach, as a game that is going to endure for at least some years. Yes. For at least some time. They want players to come back for the new content. They want them to come back for the next raid. You get Curse of Osiris coming up, and then whatever comes on after that. I presume it's going to follow a similar model to the first Destiny. I don't know. Maybe it will. We'll see. Maybe not. The point is, they're relying on those recurring players, not the casual audience per se. And those veteran players are already pouring in so many dozens and hundreds of hours. It gets harder and harder to level up. Well, then what happens when the level cap gets raised? And then it gets raised again. And it gets even more frustrating to level up. I'm not saying it's an issue right now, but I guarantee it would have been an issue way down the line.
But when you're
building towards,
but when you hit the when you hit the cap and you're talking about leveling up, I mean, you're talking about getting shaders. You're talking about getting, you know, a chance at a weapon ornament that for a weapon you may not even have.
Right now, that's the case.
That it's the case right now, but yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like that is putting the cart before the horse, and you know, I mean, regardless, I mean, the system is done, like, because people are going to be watching it like a hawk now. So, so like the whole point, in my opinion, is moot now, because people are going to be looking at this now with 3 different pairs of binoculars, and
let that algorithm jump.
The algorithms didn't they cut you? Wasn't there one before?
Yeah,
they patented.
You know, all I know is that, like, if this were to happen again in some expansion down the line, people are gonna go, "Hey!" You know, and that's gonna end. So.
True, that is true. It's just, I don't know. Maybe I'm reading a little too much into it. Maybe I'm being a little too cynical. 2017 has had a very jading effect on me.
I hear you.
But it's, I don't know. The fact that Destiny 2, as great a game it is, has such incredible endgame content problems, and yet this was in place.
Oh, I thought you were about to say incredible.
Look, I was about to go in on that until you heard the whole thing.
Oh, no, I'm not surprised at all, Sam. I mean, Destiny 1, as much as I loved it, had endgame problems. I mean, you know, so, I mean, this seems to be, I said on Twitter the other day, and people took this the wrong way. On Twitter the other day, I said Destiny's biggest hurdle is Bungie.
Yeah.
And when people said, "Oh, that's," you know, and people, you know, granted, I should have been a little more, you know, explanatory about what I meant, but I don't mean that the game is bad. I love Destiny. What I mean is that there has been absolutely no feedback from the. I mean, this is the first time we've really gotten a response to criticisms from Bungie.
That's my point.
And it's over something that they got caught doing. They're not addressing problems in the game itself. So, you know, I don't know. Bungie keeps on winning, I guess.
I find it absolutely hilarious to me, because it's every other week these guys are tripping over their own feet, and I said, like, because I didn't understand what they were saying at first. I said, what they did, and he said they was throttling us. I'm like, who was throttling you? Well, why was they throttling you?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of people who play Destiny 2, and none of them buy silver from the store. So I'm like, okay, so who cares? Like, I mean, yeah, is it scummy? Sure, whatever. But was it really affecting you in the long run? Like
not at all.
Was it really? Bungie, you know, Bungie was, you know, it's they're sorcery, man. They're trying to get sorcery. It's like, what are you doing, man? Like,
here's the thing, and I hear where you're going with Lomac. Well, I just want to jump in real quick. You're totally right. If anyone who plays Destiny knows what bright engrams, you know, they're not really game changing, you know, pay to win. There's really nothing that's going to affect gameplay in that regard. But I do hear what Lord Sam is coming from. But the thing I want to get to is just like, what I'm personally upset with is that, like you said, the issues with Destiny 2 right now rely in the end game, right? People feel it's either over casualized, there's not enough stuff to do, and the thing right now is, everyone was waiting for transparency and feedback from this community managers to say, hey, when are you fixing the end game? So it was kind of funny that they got caught with this and then immediately came out with a statement to say, okay, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're doing this, and we're doing that. When meanwhile, the community has been begging them, when are you going to talk about this end game that we're upset with? Like,
I think a lot of the anger over the Eververse stuff is just a residue from people being frustrated about Bungie not communicating about what they're going to do to fix the end game.
Yeah.
You know, like, because I know that, like, when I get a bright engram pop up, like you know, when my little yellow bar fills up and I get out, it says you got a bright engram. My excitement level registers exactly the same as like when I learned all we have for breakfast is a bowl of plain oatmeal. Like, there it is.
Plain oatmeal with loot drops.
Yeah, I'm like if my wife were to tell me, hey, what we've got for breakfast today is plain oatmeal, and my reaction is, okay, whatever. Like that's what happens when I see a bright engram pop up. I'm like, oh, it's the plain oatmeal of gaming. It's a bright engram. So if you're really upset that, if you are super duper upset, like, you feel Bungie was forcing you to buy bright engrams, like, okay, whatever. Like, yeah, again, Yes, it's a scummy practice, but they're just bright engrams. So just I take all that energy that you have about being upset about the oatmeal of video games and put that into actually having Bungie affect the change in the game itself, because it needs it. The game has bigger problems than bright engrams.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Lord Brap, I want to get you in on this. That the hand was slapped.
I got a question first before Lord Brat goes.
Go ahead.
Have you done the raid yet, Lord Brat?
No, not done the raid. I'm waiting for you guys.
It's fun.
I know.
Don't you say that. Don't you say that, because you know who I'm waiting for? I'm waiting for you. I will put you in the raid right after this. Don't you say that.
Well, no, I reached out to Addict. I'm like, hey, let's do the raid this week, and he's like, nah, we're boycotting Destiny right now. I'm like, what?
he's boycotting Destiny. You reached out to the wrong person. You reach out to me, and you'll be in a raid today.
Lord Brap, we got you if we do.
All right,
we're gonna have to people with raid.
We're gonna have to raid that later on.
On against my wishes and my beliefs to get you raid.
You're gonna go get your core beliefs. Continue, Lord Brap, as far as
No, I think everyone's made some really good points here. I think Sam, what you were going with is like this thing could have potentially gotten worse. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, it's not that it's an issue right now. It's the fact that, again, maybe I'm too cynical, but you have an endgame content problem, but yet you're throttling XP. What does that mean 2 or 3 expansions?
And I kind of agree with that too. Like and I'm glad that they got exposed per se for doing this, because this thing could have gone out of control.
I'm sorry, not to cut you off, Enrique, but everybody else heard that noise. Yeah, just right there. What was it? Like chicken on cocaine?
I just felt like we decided to ignore it.
Yeah, we gonna act like that ain't happening because we didn't know what the.
It sounded like someone was blowing balloons or something. I don't know.
It sounded like someone was trying to rap.
It sounded like a chicken just did a line of cocaine.
Continue, Lord Brap, and excuse whatever that noise was.
I do have concerns with these games that focus on player engagement. Like this stuff is something that and I'm glad the community spoke out against it. I think big picture, this is something that we have to be aware of. We have to, because I think like you were saying, Sam, like it may not happen in Destiny, but it could happen in another game where this could impact you actually getting the kind of weapons you want or the weapons you would use. And those things to me are things that worry me as a consumer, that, these developers are taking advantage of people's time and money and doing things that necessarily aren't in the best interest of the consumer. So
let's be honest, Lord Brap, like based on the content problem right now, right, the lack of endgame, it's kind of interesting that was throttled, right? Because they basically, in a sense, they want you to grind more to get said bright engram. It's not regardless of how lame they are, right? There's really not enough to do. So I guess when you do a public event like that, if you farming public events in Destiny right now is probably the easiest activity to kind of try to gain experience, and to see that kind of throttle down to about 5% is kind of showing. To me, it almost screams like they don't have enough content.
No, they don't. That's why they did it.
I think the perfect microcosm for that was, I don't know if you guys were watching the last stream they did, but they said this is our most rewarding public event.
Oh my god!
And then they dropped these 2 tokens in the blue.
2 tokens in the blue. I was done. Megative, I was done.
Dude, I was at work watching that. And I had to shut my office door and just cry into my. I was like, oh my god. And the best part is that was pre-recorded. Like, why didn't you just do that when exotic drop? Like.
That even makes it worse than it was pre-recorded.
It was a low point. It was definitely a low point. Oh man, continue, Lord Brap. I'll get Lord Addict finish this thing.
No, but that's the thing that's fun. I can see part of the community being outraged is because of the endgame issues. Yeah, it's like, wait a minute, we haven't heard anything from the community managers, and now we've caught them doing something shady, and now they're engaged with us. It's just not a good look. It's not a good look.
Not a good look. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Lord Addict, our good friend.
Did he fall asleep?
The Benadryl's in?
No, it's not in. Okay. First off, when it comes to the microtransaction, I don't give a shit about that. But I don't want to go in on this endgame. I think I'm just gonna have to say that it was sleazy what they did with the whole microtransaction and lying to us. I'm not gonna go in the endgame problems, because we all don't have time for that.
Yeah,
So
me and you will save that after stream 3 because I really wanted to hold off on this topic too. Like me and we've been chomping at the bit. We've been ready to unleash, but we like let's wait until we see all the streams, right? And then we'll kind of talk about it. But then this kind of happened, and we're like, okay, we gotta kind of talk about this. But continue.
like, what's every stream they do? I usually catch streams live, but I've been so like I don't care anymore with this company that I'm just like IGN will tell me what happened, and I'll sit there and I'm watching the, like, you know, the what's the word I'm looking for, the recaps of these streams, and you can ask Lord Cognito, like the moment I saw that raid layer, quote unquote, I was like, I went straight to Twitter and I just put one phrase: Destiny 2 uninstalled. Like I'm such a huge raid person, and I'm not gonna go all out on this. I'm gonna wait. I bought the expansions. I'm not gonna be like one of these people and just completely boycott the game. I did buy the expansions. I fell for it. I got finessed. So I'm gonna hold that L. I'm gonna try their content. I'm gonna see how this raid layer is, because anyone in you know Iron Lord's podcast channel 5, they will tell you that like my bread and butter in this game is raids.
Yeah, he's the man.
And if they gimp the raids again, because I personally feel like the Leviathan was fun, but it was gimp compared to the original.
You sound like you're not excited about Apartment 2C in Leviathan.
See, let's not go into that. Let's not.
Okay, we'll say it. We'll say that for next.
They literally want us for a whole year to go around and explore shit. Like, and how are they gonna put that in the storyline and in the lore?
But it's a great concept. Like when Calvin came up to the table and he was putting it out for Bungie, because you know it feels like the raid is done on a budget, right? And it feels like they said, well, it's big enough. They're gonna tell you this ship is huge enough that it eats planets, right? So there's no possible way for you to have seen all of the ship in the limited time that you have been on it. So it stands to pass that there's areas in the ship that will unlock for you to see that you can do other raid content. I understand it in theory. Right? But
in execution. With a Vex DLC inspired in Osiris. We gonna get into this next. We'll go on and on. We're Destiny fans.
Hold on. No. We already started this. I'm gonna get a couple minutes in, okay? So, like, the things that I don't understand is, one, how is the Vex? And you know, I talked to Lord Demon. You know, he's trying to stay optimistic, and I get with him, but he's on the one end where he's like, you know, we see the holes in the ship. Let's see if Bungie's coming to repair it. I've already left the ship. So, you know, I'm sitting there looking on the shore, seeing if the thing sinks, and if it doesn't, I'll wait for the next fare.
Yeah, we'll send you a raft. We'll get you back on.
I'm sitting here like, you know, things don't make sense. I'm like, you know, most of all the raids made sense to the expansion. So I'm like, what's going to happen? Like, am I going to sit here and do this Vex DLC raid, and Callus is just going to hit me up on the ship and be like, yo, I got another part that I just found the key to. You want to come check it out? Like, I don't get this. Like, okay, no, I'm done.
I think it allows them to put out raid content quicker.
Yes.
So in that regard, I understand it. Look, here's the thing. Like, people say, "Oh, it has nothing to do with the story," but I mean, you don't play Destiny 2 for the amazing lore. I mean, come on.
I do.
It got better though.
It got better, but I mean, it's like it did get better. But I play Destiny because nobody does first-person gunplay like Bungie, and I get cool loot, and it's just a fun game. That's why I play it.
Here's my thing. Okay, let's say that, you know, first off, they said that this raid layer, quote unquote, I'm gonna say that every damn time. You know, they say that this is going to be shorter than the Leviathan. Me, for one, did not think the Leviathan was very long.
Yeah,
so you telling me that it's gonna be shorter? I'm already picturing a PoE of raids. Like, that's how bad I'm looking at this right now. And I want this to be fire, dude. I want this to complete. I want them to shut me up. But here in the past 6 months, they ain't done nothing like that.
But I mean, Destiny 2 came out in the very end or September. Came out in September, so it's October, November. So 3 months pass. I don't think I didn't even expect another raid that soon. So
I did because I did because Crota came out the exact same time.
Yeah, but Crota, Crota was short as well. Like, Crota was super short,
but it was something different, not the same damn thing.
It was something different. It was something. No, hold on, no, hold on. Crota was different, but one, we haven't played the new raid or the raid lair.
We don't know. It doesn't matter. We know it's in the Leviathan.
Sure, but it's a whole other part of the ship. Was supposedly
it's like doing
with completely different encounters.
They say, "Oh, the other part of the Volta glass is open." Like,
but you haven't played it.
True.
You haven't played it. Nobody's played it.
So hold on.
I don't understand. Yeah, we haven't touched it yet. Let's touch it first.
So, but my thing is.
I mean, this is like saying, "Hey, I don't want chicken marsala for dinner tonight." Why? You've never had it. I don't care. It sucks.
Like, thank you. That's
in
what
the
I
interest
mean.
of being fair, this is kind of general gamer attitude anymore.
So I
heard that's trash.
This is the same people who just told me that people need to speak their opinion to make sure stuff like this doesn't happen. Okay, let's overlook this and play this and not say nothing. Guess what? The next expansion is going to be a small little section of the Leviathan.
Hold on a minute.
Because of people like you, we're going to be the Leviathan all Destiny 2.
That doesn't make any sense. You're criticizing something before you've even tried it. Play it, and if it sucks, I will be the first person to say, this doesn't work.
I'm willing to bet you I put more time into Destiny.
What's that?
We know about that. We know about who we know. It's not about the time.
It's not about the time. It's about exactly what he's saying. What he's saying is
there is
fact.
I'm sorry, but there is no. First off, the way that they're even describing this is a raid activity is already a raid.
Okay.
But I told you that before it happened.
But I also have to agree with Megative in the sense that let's give it a chance. Let's see what it is. That's all we got to say. And then once we get it in our hands, we put it through its paces, and we'll see if we are being finessed.
But I mean, there's no, you're not giving it a chance. I mean, there are strikes right now in the strike playlist, and I hope they give us reasons to replay those strikes. Strike specific loot. Come on, where is it?
Yeah, where is it?
I said at the beginning I'm giving it a chance, but I could be a spectacle of
what you could be there. You got your third eye open.
It'd be different if they haven't gave me stuff to make me not think this is good. First off, they said it's going to be shorter than the initial Leviathan raid. The Leviathan raid was 5 rooms. Okay. Second, they said that it's a raid activity, which is a phrase that they have never said in entire Destiny.
Which they had to get clarification because a lot
that is weird that they said that
at all when they use raid activity.
It's in the same location as the initial launch raid, which that's a red flag. It's that they didn't even want to.
I don't see why that's a red flag. Supposedly the environment is going to be completely different.
I would expect going into the bow of the ship, it looked different than the golden bullshit that's upstairs.
You don't know.
All I'm saying is it's the same location. We should not be on the Leviathan again so soon.
Okay.
Why can't we go to the Dreadnought? Why can't we go anywhere else besides the place?
Hold on a minute. You just criticized. Wait, hold on a minute. You just criticized Destiny for having a raid location in a different part of the same raid, and then you're like, let's go back to the Dreadnought.
I said,
listen, you're going to see he's Don Kinging you right now. This is Don King.
No. I said that the place that we just left. I'd rather go back to the Dreadnought than the place that we literally just left.
Okay,
but you don't. Okay, I mean, I don't know. It just my mentality is always, you know what? I'm willing to give it a shot before I say
I don't want to be in the same place for a whole year.
And on that note,
let me say this last thing. Okay, I understand your criticism. Okay, I did say that I'm going to try because I am going to try it. I didn't put $100 into this game not to try it. But all I'm saying is I would be okay if we went to Leviathan one time in these expansions. We're going to the Leviathan.
I like
3 times.
2 more times.
I like the concept. It's a huge ship. It eats worlds.
I mean, for all you know, we could be on a Vex world that it ate.
Well,
No,
that's what I said.
Exactly.
That is exactly what I said.
Yeah, that would be
But the
dope.
problem is they're not really being that clear. First off, they say raid lair, like they don't really give any kind of. No, I'm serious. Like they said raid lair, like it's a section in the raid, like a smaller section. It just it's
the messaging and the wording. I hear what you're getting. I hear both sides.
Why don't we wait to see what
see
stream says on Wednesday?
And let's give it a chance. Let's put it through its
couple of more weeks, fellas. Couple more weeks.
December 5th.
Yeah, I am. For day one, I will be at that raid layer. But I'm telling you, there won't be an expansion 2 if it's as bad as I.
We got you ready for apartment 2C in the Leviathan.
I can't.
We got you.
See, that's my problem. You are comparing this to an apartment building. Okay, like we should not be comparing it to an apartment building.
I just like it because it gets you all fired up. I love getting you fired up. And it's funny. That's all I got to say to get you fired up.
We should be looking at the fire ass hotel that's across the street. We shouldn't be going downstairs to the next room.
And on that note, we're done with Destiny. Right. So we're gonna move on. Lord King.
Oh, thank you.
Black Friday has come and passed. But you got some things you want to talk about.
Yes. Being that Black Friday has become this fantastic holiday. This is crazy. Should now, because I've noticed in the purchasing trends, right? And if a game falls in that 3 week out from Black Friday, it's turned into, hey, let's wait until Black Friday so we can get the game cheaper. I'm guilty of this. It's certain games that fell through the cracks that I said I'll wait till Black Friday to get. That was starting in September because I knew I definitely was buying Destiny. There's certain games that you earmark that you're going to pick up, and Black Friday has become the gamer's holiday. And my question is, should companies now market their games after Black Friday to capitalize on the full prices of the games? Because I've noticed a lot of new games are selling for half price, if more than half price. And is it cutting into the budget of games that they're forced to supplement it with loot crates? You understand?
If a game that just came out is getting half its price slashed in half on Black Friday, that means the game did not sell well.
Yeah, I'm concerned about it.
I feel like that's not always the case. I feel like that's not always the case.
Well, did you do a bulk of your shopping on Black Friday?
Yeah, but I don't feel like just because a game is on sale on the biggest year. I mean, let's say that your game sells phenomenal, and you don't want to drop that price, but you still want to sell on Black Friday, but your competitors is half off. What you gonna do? You just gonna take that L because you can't compete because your game is twice as expensive as everything else?
Yes, I mean Wolfenstein 2 just came out and it's already half off.
Yeah.
And is it permanently half off? There's a difference between a permanent drop and just a sell.
I don't believe it's
a one-night sell. I don't think that's a big deal.
I don't know. A price drop that, I mean, there is a reason, for example, that the Switch did not have a price cut on Black Friday because it doesn't need
We're talking about consoles. I mean, we're talking right now about games. That's what you guys
sure. No, we're talking about the whole conglomerate.
The core concept is the same. Like the Switch doesn't have a price. It's $299 and it's flying off the shelves. It doesn't need it because it's selling. Consequently, the PS4 and the Xbox One S got price cuts because they need them. These consoles have been on the market for years now. That is how you get people to buy them. The Xbox One X did not have a price cut. It's still $499 on Black Friday. It doesn't need one. It's selling. It just came out.
I think the main reason they do this is competition. It's like I said, you can't have Wolfenstein $30 and I mean, obviously this same developer, you have what's that company? What's the other game besides Wolfenstein that Bethesda just released?
The Evil Within 2.
The Evil Within 2 for $60. People, regardless if they came in there for the Wolfenstein, they're gonna look at that Evil Within 2 and be like, maybe I could just pick this up because I am interested in this game, but maybe I can wait on Wolfenstein.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: it's a mixture. It's both. You absolutely have competitive sales going on because Shadow of War was dropped to $35. That's a pretty big drop. And Shadow of War murdered pretty much everything else apart from maybe Mario and Assassin's Creed in October. It shattered. It completely obliterated Shadow of Mordor's sales record, which, side note, means it's the first game to buck the sequel to a new IP this gen does poor. It's actually the first one to buck that trend, which is an interesting anecdote. But anyways, so that sales drop was clearly, that discount was clearly meant to encourage more people to pick it up because other games are getting discounted. But Wolfenstein 2, The Evil Within 2, Prey, that's a disturbing amount of Bethesda titles, which is disappointing, but whatever. I'm under no delusions whatsoever that those games are getting discounted because they didn't sell quite as well as they should have.
It's like I said, it's not the case to everything. There are games that they're going to put on sale. There's no denying that when, you know, Dead Rising came out in December and by January it was like $40 at GameStop. Like, you know,
I do want to issue a quick correction to something Sam just said. Shadow of War was actually the second game to do that. The first game to do that this gen was Destiny 2, just the month before.
It did outsell it?
It outsold Destiny 1.
Well,
yeah, okay.
So what owes me an Xbox One X over that, may I add?
Launch a line. So, yeah.
Okay.
Destiny 2 is
the first
highest selling game of the year.
Yeah, so that does make sense. Yeah, okay.
Well, I mean, it's like I said, like, you know, regardless what, you know, I do want to say regardless what these Bethesda games do, you know, what they do sell-wise, they're still phenomenal games. Bethesda really don't be publishing or making bad games besides Prey.
Amen. Prey sucked.
But is it a conscious effort being made to hold off for that specific gaming so-called holiday or purchasing holiday? Because it was a conscious effort on my part to do that. I consciously waited while everybody paid full price for these games that they so-called couldn't wait for. And we had a ton of games to play up until that point, which I stayed busy with Mario, Destiny, and my Assassin's Creed that I couldn't wait for. And I purchased all the games at a cheap, very cheap discounted price. And if you was able to go physical, you even got it cheaper.
Kid Smooth, he waited on The Evil Within 2 and Wolfenstein, and the moment that sale was, he picked them both up for $30 each.
Exactly.
You know what my favorite thing about Black Friday in the gaming community is? Here's my favorite thing.
My pictures of pallets.
When you get on Twitter and you see the pictures of the empty PlayStation 4 section, they're like, PlayStation's selling out, baby. And then you get the same thing for the Xbox and the same thing for the Switch. And then I just love, like, I don't as long as they're all selling well, I could care less. But I just love the disappointed faces of whatever fanboys were wrong. And then they're like, on Twitter, and that's my favorite part is just watching these console warriors go nuts over what sold and what didn't sell. That to me is when I break up my popcorn and I pour myself a little bourbon and I sit down and I just sit in front of Twitter and I just soak it all in.
I do have a story on that pallet stuff. My uncle, he worked at Walmart for a while, and I remember I went up there to pick him up. It was during, he got off before Thanksgiving before the Black Friday. It was like probably an hour into it. He had something go on. He had to get off, and they literally just unloaded a pallet onto another one. So obviously they put the reserve stock on the main, the main display. And I saw people taking pictures of the thing they just wrote out to switch. And they were like sold out. And I'm like, dude, they literally just brought that out here to switch with the other one. Like, you were retarded.
Yeah, I honestly, like that. What I love about Black Friday brings out the absolute worst in the console warriors. It brings out, or maybe it brings out the best. I don't know, because it's so incredibly entertaining. But I honestly, like, you can take that and bring it all the way back to net neutrality and say, you guys are pouring all this energy into this meaningless console war that you have invented. That, by the way, these executives do not fight. They do not care about this. Take all that energy and all that hatred and unite yourselves and pour it into something like net neutrality. Get upset about that. Don't get upset about PlayStation 4 not selling as well as Xbox or Switch not selling as well as PS4. Don't get upset about that. Get upset about something like net neutrality, because you know what? At the end of the day, there's no PlayStation community. There's no Xbox community. There's no Switch community. There's a gaming community. And if this hobby were to go away tomorrow, we would all lose out equally. So why can't we just unite?
I was there last time it went away.
It's like I said last night on the podcast I did with
Brad
and Anchor, man. you know, the next time you think that, you know, there's a side or a green side or a blue side, or I don't necessarily know what side Nintendo would be colored would be, but
red, maybe?
Yeah, red. So you have these sides, and regardless of what it is, it's like gamers came together, made a multi-million-dollar corporation bow to us, and then not only that, we made a multi-billion-dollar corporation tell a multi-million-dollar corporation that this needs to change.
Yeah, it's just I mean, when you talk Black Friday, you know, like I mean, nobody's gonna know what sold more until we get the NPDs, or until we hear a statement, which we usually do, saying, you know, okay, well, we saw. And by the way, I want to point out, just because one console sells the most on Black Friday does not mean it sells the most for the month by a long shot. So, you know, honestly,
that stock was out.
Yeah, exactly. My bet is that the Switch probably pulled it out, but which would be incredible considering it did not get a price cut. That would be. I mean, wouldn't that be insane if the
That
Switch,
would be pretty crazy,
which did not get a price cut, actually sold more than the $199?
We don't have that kind of talk on this podcast.
We're hoping not, sir.
I think that would be like, look, as long as everything's selling well, I don't care.
No, we just have a BendTheKnee segment here, and I'm on the Xbox side
right now.
Yeah, I'm on the Xbox side now. I don't want to bend this knee, sir.
I would love to see the shocked faces of people who just did not see that coming.
I just
definitely saw, that you'll be seeing it from me.
I just saw a commercial for a jewelry store. If you spend $1,000 or more, you get a free Xbox One S.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I just saw this.
Or for $189, I can just go get one and not have to spend $1,000.
Exactly. That's all.
They're doing
that very, very niche market of guys who are planning to propose this holiday, but still want to pick up a console. I don't know.
Hey, how would your wife feel if she knows that the impetus of you getting a ring was the fact that you could?
It worked out for me too, baby. Not only do you get to be the love of my life for the rest of my life, but I got an Xbox One Slim too. Like, and now now that I've done this, I can ignore you and play on my Xbox One S. It works out.
The preview of marriage is going to be like.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
looks like Cognito's having some problems.
Xbox is pulling out all the stops for Black Friday. They even giving you a diamond ring with your Xbox One.
I will say that. I will say this. Like, and this is about as deep into the stuff as I get. I do feel like this is a very critical holiday period for Microsoft.
Yes.
If the Xbox is so you just had the Xbox One X come out. I don't think it's going to move the needle the way people think. I think it'll sell more to the Xbox core than the PS4 Pro did to the PS4 core, simply because I feel like there was more excitement in that subsect of gamers for the X. But if Microsoft, just after releasing this new very powerful console, if they have a poor showing in November, which I don't think they will, but if they do, where do they go from there?
Well, it's the games. It's interesting you say that. Like, when this generation started, I did not think exclusives mattered all that much anymore. After the first year, I was like, exclusives are not. But now I don't know if that's true or not anymore.
Matt Piscatella was saying that was the case in the beginning of the generation, and that then it changed, like year, I think 2, 3, whatever in this console gen, where they could see a correlation between exclusives coming out and pushing console sales for.
Well, I think you saw the big change happen when the Switch came out, because let's face it, nobody's buying the Switch for third-party games. No. You're buying the Switch for first-party games, and Nintendo probably has the strongest, most recognizable stable of first-party games in the business. And the Switch is murdering it this year. It's a complete 180 from the Wii U. So maybe exclusives, maybe they matter more than I thought they did, and maybe that's why PlayStation 4 is just outpacing the Xbox. I don't know, but I do know that I really hope Microsoft has a strong showing on not just on Black Friday, but for November in general, because I think that will be a statement on the state of that console in the industry, having just had a new console come out.
Yeah.
And they poured, I feel like, a lot more advertising into the X than PS4 did to the Pro.
Yes.
I feel they had to. Yeah. I mean, Sony could afford with getting away. And let's face it, like the reveal of the Pro was a snoozer. Like I was like,
Cerny put us to sleep.
I like Mark Cerny. But we were live streaming that thing, and I was like, oh, God, like what is this? Meanwhile, some of the marketing language was goofy. Like, perfect pixels. I don't know what that means. But perfect purifying clarity. It's not fair. But at the same time, it worked. It got people hyped up.
Mm-hmm. And, absolutely.
And so I feel like if Microsoft comes in third. Mm-hmm. In November, that's a bad look.
Yeah, that's something to be very concerned about.
Now, the thing also was going on is these PlayStation sales. Obviously, we know Black Friday doesn't represent the whole month, but from my understanding, like what they dropped to about 189, Brad, like that Sony they have like some
no 199.
199.
Oh, so it's 199.
The Xbox Slim was 189, but I mean a difference of $10 isn't going to move the needle.
Wow, this is. Mm-hmm.
It's just the numbers visually gives you a feeling. Like if you see 189 opposed to 199, it's a feeling that your brain produces.
It's a visual thing, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. And now, apparently the PS4 is sold out everywhere now, which is ridiculous if that's true for a 4-year-old console. I mean, that's insane. I have a feeling that the Xbox is going to be trailing the PS4 and the Switch in November. And I'm sure people will take that as saying John is a fanboy. No, I want the Xbox One to sell. I would love to see it sell more than anything else in November because I would love because 3 competitive consoles are better than
it's a beautiful thing.
You got to give the disclaimer as well. He doesn't have an Xbox, so I mean, the disclaimer has to be said.
I played on a PS3 and an Xbox 360 equally last gen. Because I had more time. I wasn't married.
Right. Yeah.
But for the current gen, I got a PS4. I got a PS4 because most of my friends ended up getting a PS4.
Yeah, you go where your friends are.
It would not make sense for me to switch over to an Xbox now at this point because I've got so many trophies on PS4 on PlayStation Network now. All my friends
that's
are here.
Exactly what I say. I say you play with your friends. You play where your stack is, your achievements are. This stuff means things to people. It means something to you. It means something to me.
The ecosystem is important. Like the ecosystem that you're comfortable with and where your friends are ultimately is going to help decide where you're going to actually game. So I definitely hear it. I mean, it's going to be interesting. This whole Black Friday thing is just pretty entertaining.
Could we get a couple of the lords that's in the room right now who's not part of the Bend the Knee segment because it's not too late to join?
Listen, I don't know who's going to bend the knee in November, but I'll tell you this. I'm going to be tuned in to SDGC where they got Matt Piscatella on. That's fun because
that episode is going to be so Matt Piscatella, who's the NPD analyst, he comes on every month. He's an unofficial member of the podcast, and he comes on every month to talk about and by the way, if you've never seen him talk, he is extremely knowledgeable about the industry, and it is fascinating to hear him talk.
Very knowledgeable.
So you're going with the Switch, I take it, or is it the PlayStation?
I personally, you know what?
He tried to get him to commit.
I'm waffling between the PS4. I still think the Switch is going to take it simply because.
We on the Switch train. We on that Switch
train.
Right. Okay.
So we got your knee on the Switch.
I think so. I think that's. If you look,
Okay, Lord Sam. Yeah. Lord Sam. Where's your knee leaning?
The thing is, right, we don't really have a lot of evidence per se. We have a lot of anecdotes. We have a lot of anecdotes. I'll say it again. So it's extremely difficult to say. Honestly, you could put these 3, Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, in any order, and I'd believe it. I would believe any order. I'd believe any combination.
When the MPDs come out, where will your knee lie? I'm just trying to figure where your knee might be.
It's just good fun. We've been doing this thing called Bend the Knee segment.
If you have to force me into a good fun position here, then it would be something like
get on your knees.
I don't know. I don't know. I'll go Xbox, Switch, PlayStation, just to shake things up.
Okay,
all right.
You got Xbox.
Okay. All right, so you got Xbox.
I really need to emphasize the fact I can believe anything happening. Honestly.
Oh, look at that. He voted for the winning team.
It's going to be a fun segment. We're going to have people. We're
Yes.
actually going to have all the people, past guests that we've encouraged. Lord BRAP has been part of it, you know, as far as who our predictions are, who we think will win. Just a little fun segment. Like I said, once the winner is announced, you know, we'll just have you guys come in the live chat, just hashtag BendTheKnee and retweet just for some good fun. Because like I said, it's like Lord Megative said, it's one of these unique situations where the big three are in prime position. They all got great arguments. They're selling well. You know, the X is doing well. The Nintendo Switch has been a phenomenon. PlayStation has been the dominating force of the generation. So it's just fun to see, you know, them all compete. And this is one of those ones you really can't definitively say all the way.
It's interesting. It's interesting when you look at how well all the consoles are, and everything is selling well right now. Remember all those articles back in 2012 saying gaming
was dead.
Mobile had taken over.
It's done. It's all done.
Well, I mean, right around the same time, you had a bunch of articles from high-up publications, no less, talking about how MOBAs were the future and that's where all games needed to go and things like that. So anytime something says blank is the future, raise an eyebrow.
Lord Cognito, you notice how I got that same answer you were looking for later in the podcast, just in case somebody was sticking around for that answer.
I know what the method to your madness is, Lord King.
I just want to point out real quick to my fellow lords here that I've got to drop.
Okay.
I've got a hard stop time at
no worries.
12:45, and I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
Not at all. Not at all. Nothing to be surprised.
I got to help my wife with some stuff. But I you know, it was mentioned earlier when you guys were doing that amazing introduction that I do voices. So I figured Enrique knows. I figured I could do like a little Christopher Walken before I go.
Let's go.
Yeah, just go ahead and do your outros because I think we're about to wrap this up anyway.
Let's go, baby.
I'm gonna do a little like I don't know. We'll do like what if Kratos was played by Christopher Walken, right? Like, it could be. I can't do this without laughing, so forgive me. But you know what? It's like Zeus, your son has returned. I bring with me the king of Olympus. Like, yeah, there you go.
My man, Lord Megative, man. Absolute pleasure, man. Thank you so much for coming through. Huge fan of the SDGC. Shout out your team, everybody over there. And like I said, man, gotta hit you back on once again. And like I said, man, absolute pleasure, man.
Yeah, no, I do. I had a lot of fun talking with you guys. I'll come back on whenever you want. And please, if you have not subscribed to the Iron Lords podcast and you're listening to this, do it. These are a bunch of good guys. I'll go ahead and tell you to subscribe to our own channel, Super Deformed Gamescast, which goes live every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
What's it called again, sir?
Super Deformed Gamescast.
There you go.
And we are going to be doing our Game of the Year show soon, very soon. And anybody who watches this knows what a hot mess
that's going to be interesting.
Our top 100 games of all time was. That was bad. That was really bad. But we always have a good time. We're usually a few drinks in when we go live, so it's always fun. There's a lot of yelling, and we have a motto. It's not always poetry, and we don't always agree, but we always keep it real, and that pretty much sums up the podcast. But anyway, I got to drop, guys. It was a pleasure and an honor being on. Enrique and Sam, you guys are my boys. You guys know that. If you guys have not checked out Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, which is SDGC's sister podcast, or Real Games Media, I highly suggest you guys go and subscribe to that as well. So anyway, guys, have a good rest of your weekend, and everybody out in the gaming community, please be kind to each other.
Absolutely. Have a good one, Lord Megative. Be safe.
Take care, guys.
See you.
Cool. So, yeah, man, we're just going to get close to wrapping this thing up unless Lord Addict, I know he wanted to talk a little.
No, we'll say that.
We say Switch 30 part. Yeah, we'll say Switch 30 part next week. No doubt. So it's absolute pleasure. Lord Sam and, of course, Lord BRAP dropping through. So, Lord Sam, where can the fine people find you?
So you can follow me on Twitter if you want to hear what I have to say. You may not like it. You have been warned. You can find me on Twitter at Samuel Tolbert. I keep my thoughts brief, but I pull no punches. So it is what it is. I'll try to always keep things honest. I'm happy to talk to anyone whenever I can. You know, I mean, you might send me a message. I might be in class or working on something, but I'll happily get back with anyone who wants to talk or just chat about games or movies or whatever. That's at Samuel Tolbert. Very, very easy to find. And then when I'm not on Twitter, you can find me at realgamemedia.com.
Sure.
and I will be writing reviews, opinion pieces, articles. And if I'm not, it's because I'm looking something up to work on something else new, or I'm actually doing the most important thing, and that is playing games.
That's
Yes,
right.
sir.
Let's
That's
talk
what
about
this is
it.
about, right?
No doubt. That's what it's about, man. Appreciate you, Lord. Sam, long overdue. Huge fan. Got a chance to meet you finally. And like I said, always shout out the RGM team because you guys do good work. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you. We appreciate the support. We really do. You guys are awesome.
Thank you so much. Lord BRAP with the mystery challenger appearance today.
I love that. I love that.
A new challenger has arrived.
A new challenger has arrived.
I heard you guys were going to talk about net neutrality. I was like, oh, I need to talk about this.
I know. I had to have you. When you
Thank you, because that rant was very, very powerful. It actually brought me up to speed in understanding the nuances that I didn't understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Where can people find you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at BRAP_podcast. And we actually are in the midst of we're running a holiday competition right now.
Yeah,
where we're giving away free PlayStation 4 console. Compliments of Mr. Chicken Spaghetti, by the way, who is a great community member. He actually picked us and a few other podcasts to do his holiday giveaway. So big shout out to him. And I'm also going to be part of another podcast that's going to be coming out December 3rd, Loot Chest Radio with my
boy Fonzarelli on that.
Yeah, with Jay Fonzarelli.
Oh, shout out to Lord Fonzarelli.
And Saltiest Gamer.
Oh, so Lord Sauce, my guy.
Saltiest, yeah.
Yeah, that's my guy. So who is it? It's Salt, Fonzarelli, you, All Day Digital?
Yep.
Nice. When's that popping? We in the early stages. We cooking.
The first podcast, it's not going to be a live podcast. We're going to record it, but it will drop December 3rd. So, just keep an eye out for that. You can follow Loot Chest Radio at Loot Chest Radio on Twitter. So definitely give us a follow. And we just going to get together and talk about games and video game news and our opinions on things with the industry. And we're going to be focusing on getting some more industry guests on too. So none of the fanboy stuff, just straight game talk.
You already know. We respect it. No doubt. And before we outro with the Lords, just real quick, the new ILP poll this week will be going up probably tomorrow. So it's pretty much
am I going to get to do my outro real quick?
No, we're going to get to do your outro. The Lords get saved for last. We're the round of the Lords. The guests go first.
Hey!
He's like, hey, don't come
on! Come on!
I can end my time now.
I got you. No. I got my brother from another mother. But the new ILP poll will be with the rise of social media, Twitter, Reddit, etc., bringing more attention to gaming industry practices and giving more direct access to execs. The question is this good for gaming as a whole? A, yes, shines light on bad practices and corrupt individuals. B, no, issues are overblown and way too many personal attacks. Or C, I don't care. I just want to get my game on. C is always lit. That is the question. Those are the choices. Please rock them.
I didn't check the poll. Did I get my C from last week?
You got your C from last week. C did not win. They were very shallow. They did not win last week.
Yeah, we didn't win.
The lost. Shallow C's did not win last week.
We did not win. We lost.
So that is the question. Those are the choices. Rock the vote. And now we're going to do our official outros for the Lords. My brother from another mother, the Howl of the Young Wolf. Very energetic pre-Benadryl.
Love this, man. I love this. It's 2 weeks in a row. I freaking love this.
Where can people find you? What you got cooking up?
First off, I want to go ahead and make a public announcement that King be acting like I've missed every podcast.
No. Yo, listen. I never said that you missed. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the energy level. I love it. Please don't take this as a negative or a dig at me trying to get at you. I really love your energy because when you come with high energy, I come with high energy, sir. So please, let's keep it rolling.
That Destiny segment was intense. I was like, woo! It was hot. I love it.
I definitely want to, thank all our guests for coming out. Here, I dropped the other podcast. Definitely go check that out. Here's Brat's podcast. Go check that out in the comments, the chat.
Nice.
Hey, as far as me, you know, I don't know if I'll be on Planet Xbox Wednesday. I'm still having, you know, in the middle of my my, you know, personal issues. But I definitely want to thank everyone for coming out. I'm not going to be able to stay to the very end of the podcast, so I have to go out right now. My brother just showed up.
Okay.
But I do appreciate everyone that showed up. Lord Cognito, you take over. Bye-bye.
I got you, bro. You already know. That's my guy. And of course, shout out to Lord Saw, who could not make it, you know what I'm saying, but definitely came through with that cameo, courtesy of Lord King on the feature. And Lord King, I see you, baby. Lord King, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I want you guys really to add me on Xbox, okay? But also send me a message and say podcast. Just a message podcast. Because I get a lot of weird
What's
things.
that game attack, though?
King David OTW.
All right.
I want to give a shout out to everybody that went out this Black Friday and maximized their Xbox One X experience. And even those people that didn't go out and maximize their Xbox One X experience, they maximized it by purchasing the Xbox One X. You supported the gaming community. Eric J. Shout out to Lord Eric J. He went out, he purchased his 4K television too. He's maximizing his situation as well. I mean, it means a lot. You have to understand when it's coming from the vision standpoint, when you purchase for your systems and you see what your system is fully capable of. I'm sure Lord BRAP can attest to this. When he put that 4K HDR on, he sat back and said, wow. And I know what King is talking about.
I literally was walking around trying to get different angles of the sun. I mean, seriously, I was on the party chat with All Day and Fonzarelli last night, and I wasn't even doing any missions. I was walking around trying to get different angles of the sun to see the lighting effects and the shadows. It was just it was nice. It was nice.
Yeah. 4K resolution.
So now you know that when I was telling you I wasn't blowing smoke up your butt.
No, I knew you weren't, because I know you like the premium gaming experience.
No doubt.
I got to give a shout out to every guest that showed up today, even family that showed up as in Enrique, BRAP, Lord BRAP. But when I listen, I got to tell you guys a secret. When I jumped in a live chat, because we have the video feed, and I looked at Lord Negatron, and I'm like, this dude looks like Deadpool. Like,
he got the Ryan Reynolds.
Y'all look like Ryan Reynolds. I said, nobody told me we had Ryan Reynolds.
You thought I was doing it big? You thought Lord Track was really doing it big?
Yo, I said, I really had to pinch myself. I thought I was sleeping still. I said, I overslept the podcast. Hey, yo, shout out. It was just a really funny moment for myself. And I had to share that with him before that.
He definitely got that going. That's my guy right there. He was hilarious. Rare form. Good dude. Great topics. And chat, thanks for everybody coming through. Chat was lit today. Much appreciated again. Lord Megative, BRAP, Lord Samuel Tolbert in the building, the Dire Wolf, the Geralt Rivia himself.
Yes, sir.
Absolute pleasure. Make sure everyone, you guys hit that like, subscribe, and like I said, all the ILP on the Inner Circle Network, the media outlets, YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, all that stuff will be going up later. The audio aspect, and of course, the amazing TickGN Patreon that links in the description. All the help from the Lords is greatly appreciated. We have another glorious Sunday in the books, and we're going to end this thing, y'all. And on that note, peace.
Peace.